to produce good quality, Adenike has built a successfully recognizable premium children's clothing brand with over 16 international standard retail outlets across Nigeria and an e-commerce platform, making Rough and Tumble an instantly recognizable brand in the Nigerian and West African markets. Adenike is a non-executive director at Lafard Alsim PLC, the founding member and first president of the Network of Entrepreneurial Women at the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association. She's an advisory board member and mentor at Women in Successful Careers, which is a structured mentoring program for young women. She was an advisory board member of the Enterprise Development Center at the Pan-African University's Lagos Business School, a board member of Feed a Child program, the Amazing Amazons Initiative, the founder of the I Share Cause I Care Foundation by Rough and Tumble, the founder of Betty Okuboyejo Foundation, a foundation in memory of late Betty O that equips young individuals with practical skills in garment making, business of fashion, leadership, and entrepreneurship skills that influence and drive change and add value to the society. And she's also the coordinator of the Marriage and Family Life Unit at the Catholic Church of Presentation. Adenike is a winner of numerous awards and an avid motivational speaker, talking to women's groups, families, entrepreneurs, and young people. She is happily married to Adegbola Ogunlesi, an industrialist in the beauty industry and one of the founders of men's fashion label Sophistica. They are blessed with 3 grown children. With a standing ovation, let's welcome our session speaker to the Africa Family Life Delegate Conference 2019, Adenike Ogunlesi.
Good morning. I don't know whether this thing is working. Okay, I can hear myself now. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for that very generous introduction and standing ovation. My PA is busy laughing at me because she knows I don't stand on ceremony. I like to keep my feet on the ground because my mother always told me that no matter what people say, no matter what the accolades say, no matter how loud the accolades get, your feet should be firmly planted on the ground so you do not forget who you are, so that you are relatable. People can still connect with you, and you can have a more fulfilling life that is connected to people who share the same values with you. They may not necessarily be on the same social status as you, but they share the same values that you share. And life is for living. And life is what you define it to be. Let me first begin by congratulating Praise and the entire FSC family, of which I am a member. I have sat in the classes from Monday to Sunday for a whole week. Very inspiring. But I think what I took away from it, the biggest lesson I took away from it is question everything. Question every single thing that happens. Don't take anything for granted. Nothing has meaning except the meaning that you give to it. And Dimma's favorite saying, the way you do one thing, if you can finish it up for me, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Some parts of it sounded like my mother in so many ways. But FSC, I believe, very strongly believe, that this is a vehicle and a platform that is questioning the way we are doing things. And it is a vehicle and a platform that can help us define or redefine those things that are valuable to us and give us direction in living our the truest, highest form of expression of our individual lives. That for me is the reason why I'm here. To find the truest expression of myself in everything that I do, to step up and be brave and be bold enough to do the things that I decide has meaning in my life. So I want to introduce you to this woman. Can I have the first picture? So, what state in Nigeria is this woman from? Can you guess? What state is she from? What state is she from? Is she Shekiri? Where is she from? What state is she from? The Southwest? Ondo State? Are they as fair as this in Ondo State? Are they as fair as this? This is the first time hearing of it, that Ondo people are fair like this. Eh? Where? From where? Shekiri. Shekiri. Okay. This woman, next slide, is this woman. And this woman, next slide, is this woman. And this woman, next slide, is this woman. Next slide is this woman. Next slide is this woman. And who can hazard a guess who she's carrying? Yes. And this woman is this woman on the left. This woman is my mother. Born Scottish, named Elizabeth White Divine, came to Nigeria in 1963. Married a black man when being married to a black man was not the norm. At all, at all, at all. In a place like Oxford, which was the seat of knowledge. My parents met in Oxford. But she came into a society. It's amazing the things that love can make you do. When you have love as a value, you better be very careful. Because it can make you uproot. It can make you, as you can see, evolve into a totally different being. She got on that boat with a baby and landed in a country that she'd never been to a people that she had really never met and didn't really know, to a culture that she had no idea of what it was like. But what did she do? What did this woman do? She looked at this culture. She said, it was such a powerful culture that the first thing she realized about this culture was that it gave women, the Yoruba culture, gave women the right to do anything that they liked, but paid lip service to the fact that the man was superior and the head of the family. Meaning, as a woman, when you know how to twist the neck, the head will go wherever you want it to go. Those of us who are mature women, do we know that? Do we understand that? It doesn't happen overnight at all. There's many tests, many exams you will pass, you will fail, before you have the ability to twist that neck, that head, in the direction that you want it to go. Then people look at you and say, oh, you have such a successful marriage. You have the stripes, don't you? If you know what I'm talking about, just put up your hand. You have the stripes to show why you have the ability to twist that head in the direction that you want it to go. If you haven't learned it, go to FSC, you will learn it. You will learn it. You will learn it. You will learn so many things about yourself, because it all begins, as far as I'm concerned, with self. So this woman now started living among Yoruba people and realized that I never saw my mother in a dress in the 50 years that she lived in this country. I never did. My mother totally took her own culture. It was as if she put it inside the suitcase that brought her to Nigeria and decided that she was going to be a Nigerian. Growing up, I never ate Oyibo food, whatever that is. Maybe we ate sausage, but we ate eba. We ate pure beef. We didn't eat the pomos and the roundabouts. We ate clean. But we grew up. My mother ate eba. My mother's favorite food was pounded yam with egusi, with fresh fish that was from the sea, not from the lagoon. That was her favorite food. My mother's other favorite food was asaro. And to cap it, if you give my mother a kokore, you have given her the best meal of the day. If you are from Ijebu Ode, you know what ikokore is. You know how it is. You know how sweet ikokore is. That was one of my mother's favorite delicacies. This was a woman who grew up on pork chops, chicken breast, pure beef, sausage, shepherd's pie, this pie, that pie, roast turkey, roast this. Why am I telling this story? You know, I asked myself, what do I want to share here today? I wanted to share how powerful and how positive the African culture can be if we know how to apply it in the right dimensions. I am a product of this woman. The values with which she raised me are incredible. Did I have a full appreciation of it when I was growing up? Perhaps not. But that was the value that made me get up from Ahmadu Bello University and say, I don't want to be a lawyer. But you know what? I don't really know what I want to do. So therefore, I'm going home. And I'm not staying here to read law. And people say to me, but that was such a brave thing to do at that point in time in your life. Was it brave? I didn't know. All I knew was my mother used to tell me one thing: unto thine own self be true. You can lie to the rest of the world, but when you look in the mirror, look inside your eyes. What are those eyes telling you? Because they will tell you the truth if only you will listen to it. They will show you the way if you will pay attention to it. And so, I left Ahmadu Bello University. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I came back to Lagos. From Lagos, I grew up in Ijebu-Ode, as you might have guessed, with the Kokore and all that sort of thing, which was a civil service town in the 60s. Like all civil service towns, it was just there. There was really nothing to do but play outside, climb trees, ride bicycles, play mud house, play with who ground hibiscus leaves and made it as a wedu. Fed your doll and you ripped the leg of the doll and said the doll poo-pooed from there. We were creative thinkers because we didn't have gadgets. There were no gadgets. So we played. Play is good for children. As Africans, we beat children because they play. You have to stop beating children because they play. Children were designed to play because it is in play that they find expression. It is in playing that they find their creativity. It is in playing that they find what they're passionate about. That's where they find themselves. You know, so we should stop doing that. And so, my father said to me, what have you come back to do? I said, I don't want to go to university. A black man that went to Oxford, you tell him you don't want to go to university. A medical doctor, a specialist physician, a doctor's doctor, you tell him you don't want to go to university. You know there has to be space between the two of you when you're saying that to your father. So there was space between my dad and I. I know my father now. You see, when Prof was talking, it reminded me of so many things of my dad. You have to put space between you and people like my father. Otherwise, the Igbati, that's what it's called. Igbati, Igbaru, and the knock on your head, eh? Yes, that's it. So you put space. So I said, no, I'm not doing it. He said, yes, you are. You see, I don't know where it came from, but I was a strong-willed child. Very strong-willed. You can beat me, but you see that thing I want to do? I'm going to do it. And nothing is going to stop me. I will do that thing. But it's just that I was lucky that I was not a bad child that did all the wrong things. The things I wanted to do were not bad, but my dad didn't understand them. Because my dad grew up in the 1920s, where children don't play. If they say sit there, you sit there. Hold your mouth, you hold your mouth. You don't move. You don't question. You just follow. But I was not a follower. I was always independent. I've always been a leader. I've always led. I've never been a follower. And I don't think that will change anytime soon in my life. So I decided that I'm not going. And he said, you are going. You are going to Agoiwoye. Me? Go to Agoiwoye. If there's no university in this world, it's Agoiwoye, I will go to university. If that's the last university standing, I'm not going. Oh, it's okay, it's good, it's this, that. Anyway, I didn't go. I said, all I want from you is 200 naira. I don't know where this trading business started. But I remember as a child putting oranges on a tray and putting them outside, looking for customers to buy them. And this was in the GRA, and there were no people walking around in the GRA in the 1960s. So I don't know where the customers was going to come from. But in my imagination as a child, I believed that somebody will stop and buy these my oranges. Or the entrepreneur in me believed that I would sell these oranges. Anyway, I usually took them back into the house, and my brothers and I just ate them, which is typically what happened all the time. But I was never discouraged. You know, we lived in tiny houses with 2 acres of land. That's how the GRA in Ijebu was. So you had orange trees, grapefruit trees, anwi, cashew trees, all kinds of trees in your compound. So fruits, where, you know, you just have to shake the tree and there are fruits. But I wasn't discouraged. You know, I still continued these things. So I said to him, I said, I want 200 naira from you. That's all I want. Give me 200 naira. I've seen a factory. I want to go and buy foam. I want to make African Ankara cushions. I want to take them to this shop in Lagos called Quintessence, and I want to go and sell them there. And my father was scandalized that I wanted to be a tailor and a trader. It was like, Betty, you have destroyed this child's life. But my mother was an entrepreneur. My mother came to Nigeria. Can you show me the pictures? And found Adire. This is my mother with Adire. In 1963, my parents arrived in Abeokuta, and my mother found Adire. My mother's love for Africa was born inside her. She was a woman born in the wrong place, in the wrong color. She really was an African. To the core, she was. You know, and this is her. This is actually my mother making the Adire. She employed the women, but she also made it herself, and she was so happy about this thing. So I grew up with this woman as an entrepreneur. My father was a medical doctor, but my mother was a businesswoman. My mother was an entrepreneur. So that was where my spirit of entrepreneurship came from. But this was a woman, quiet, who arrived in Nigeria, timid, who arrived in Nigeria, couldn't speak. She said she used to look at the women in the clothes, in the everything, and when they hit the dance floor, she said, I'm getting me some of this. She ditched all her European clothes, started wearing buba and iro, started wearing Ankara, started wearing, until she died. I buried my mother in buba and iro lace with gele and her pearls. Because that is who she was. The culture that she brought, infused with the culture she met, to create the little Scottish girl into this dynamic woman, human being, who, when she died, over 1,500 people attended her funeral. This was not her country, but she made it hers. She took the culture and made it her own. She wove it into her European lifestyle. So are there some things about me that are European? Probably. So my friends will say, is your Igbo blood? Am I fanatical about some things? But I think there were values. She taught me to be excellent. She taught me to set standards. She taught me that whatever thy hand findeth, do with all thy might. That was the culture in my home. That was the culture that drove me as a young woman. She used to tell me you should be like a ball underwater. Can you keep a ball underwater? It's impossible. And she said that's who you must be. So when somebody presses you down here, go and bounce up over there. Then when they follow you and press you there, go and bounce over there. Then when they follow you and press you here, bounce over here. You must be unsuppressible. Because you have a life that is meaningful. And you have to live that life. Because that's why you are here. You are not a waste of space. And you should not be a waste of space. You are here for a reason. Go ahead and connect. Make the reason. So, I didn't go to this famous university. So, actually, there are probably more people in here that are more educated than me because I don't have a degree. But then you see, the culture of degrees is overrated. Because what they're teaching you in school and what you have to learn in life to succeed in life are like two opposite poles, that parallel lines that are never going to meet. So you find you come out of school to come and re-educate yourself on coping skills on how to live your life. But school doesn't teach you that. And this is where you have to take control of your life and make a decision that I want to live my best life. And so what are the tools that I need? Again, I tell you, check into FSC. They will teach you these tools. You will find all the tools there. So I started this business. My father said, "You mean you want to be a common tailor?" So I said to him, "Do you know Coco Chanel? Do you know Christian Dior?" My father said, "Who are they?" I said, "There you are. I know them because this is the profession I want to go into." I said to him that these are the best known people in the world when it comes to fashion. They're global brands. And I said to him, that's what I'm going to start. I'm going to start a global brand. And everybody is going to know about whatever it is I'm doing in this fashion space. You know how your father can look at you like, who do you think you are? You know that look. But because I was such a defiant child, I stood tall, eyeball to eyeball, to say this thing that I want to say. But you know what? There's always distance, so there's always gap. You make sure that if his hand goes out like this, he can't reach you. You make sure that there's gap. You know, I'm one of those kind of people. I will put the space. Did I love my father? Yes. Did I respect him? Well, that's questionable, but, you know, because of the way he lived his life. On top of all of this, my mother coped with polygamy. So she was actually not his only wife. He married another woman that had 6 children for him after my mother's children. So in the middle of all of this culture and defining herself, she's actually living in a polygamous marriage until I'm 21 years old and she decides, you know what, I'm going to Lagos. You can leave your sorry self in Ijebu and be doing your polygamy. But I'm going to Lagos. And she came to Lagos and her life was never the same again. She was free to do all the other things she wanted to do. And she lived her life to the fullest, completely to the fullest, you know. So when I started this business, my classmates, culture, my classmates said, hey, Taylor, Nike, what happened to law? I said, law is boring. Law is very, very boring. I realized as I grew older that freedom was actually a value for me that was not negotiable. So actually, I don't think it was that I didn't want to read. No, I know that it wasn't that what I wanted to read. I wanted financial independence. I wanted to live life on my own terms. But I was willing to pay the price to live life on my own terms. The culture said one thing, but I chose to be the oddball. And I chose to say, you know what? I'm not going down that path because I don't want to go down that path, but I want to go through this path. And so I created a new path for myself. And I followed that path. Was it hard? Your guess is as good as mine. Was it difficult? Because everywhere I turned up was, Nike, you didn't go to university. Everywhere I turned up, Nike, you didn't go to university. So I decided that you went to university, me that I didn't go to university, all of us will meet ourselves in front. Abi? So how many people did I go to university with? I don't know what 3/4 of them are doing. I don't know where they are. But I know that I'm a force for good. I know that I'm an enabler. I know that I'm a catalyst. I know that I'm a woman who is creative, who is innovative. I know that I'm a woman who stands for what she believes in, regardless of what everybody else says. And so, I started making clothes, and I found I was making clothes for people like Mrs. Babangida. I was 22 when I was making clothes for people like Mrs. Babangida. I was making clothes for people like Mrs. George, the wife of the governor then of, I think it was Ondo State. Mrs. Adeleke, the MD of Tate and Lyle. Mrs. Okoli, the founder of Emzor Pharmaceuticals. These women were my customers. I was 22. So you can imagine the models that were before me. These women were paying me upfront cash to make their clothes. There's no negotiation. No. You pay or you don't get your clothes made. It's as simple as that. These were the women that I clothed until I decided I wanted a family. I came from such a fractured family that I was determined that it was not going to repeat itself. That I was going to break, if you want to call it a curse, I was going to break the cycle. And that I was going to be married and I was going to stay married. But I didn't realize just how much bloody work it was to stay married. But I learned. Oh, I learned. I learned because I had a goal, and I kept the goal in front of me. The goal was that my husband and I were going to be a unit. The goal was that my husband and I were going to be friends. The goal was that my husband and I were going to be paddies. We were going to travel. We were going to play. We were going to talk serious talk, build business, do all kinds of things, but we were going to do it together. That was the goal that I set myself at age 18. And to the glory of God, I made that goal. To the glory of God. My husband is my friend. My husband is my partner. My husband is the person I can wake up at 2 a.m. in the night and say, I want to discuss something. It's troubling me. And never once did my husband say, please leave me, I want to sleep. Never. In the almost 30 years that we've been together, not once has he ever said that to me. Not once. Not once. Why am I talking about him? I call my husband the wind beneath my wings because I spread my wings out as an entrepreneur, and my husband put his wind underneath my wings. I jumped off a cliff as an entrepreneur. I walked into a bank and I said, I want to borrow 300 million naira. And they all looked at me like, you? For what? I said, I want to build a story building. They said, what business do you do? I said, I sell children's clothes. It's like, madam, go and ask Oga, please. First of all, I was so insulted. Go and ask Oga. What's Oga got to do with me coming here to come and say I want money? You see, this is again culture. The man could not believe that a woman can walk into the bank. It shows you how small his mind is. A woman can have the audacity to walk into a bank and say, I want 300 million naira because I want to build a high rise. He looked at me like, are you all right? I knew I was all right. Oh, I knew I was very, very all right. Because I had seen the dream. I had seen the vision. It was clear. I was going to be in a glass building and I was going to be telling people what to do. You have to have a vision for your life and it must be clear. It must be crystal clear. Because it doesn't happen if it is not crystal clear. Did I cry? Oh, please, don't be mistaken. No. You know when you're telling a story, it can sound sweet. Eh? Did I cry? I cried. I have cried. But you see, you talked about the lessons of failure. You learn to pick yourself up, to dust yourself off. And you learn to get up, to show up, and to keep the flag flying. Because if you don't, that's the end of your story. Nobody tells you that. So you have a choice. The choice is either to get up or to stay down. But staying down was never an option. Whatever it takes, if it is one leg at a time, you get up. Anyway, I went to 6 banks in Nigeria before one bank would say to me, Madam, we will support you. What were the lessons that I learned along the way? Again, I met so many things that had to do with culture. Oh my God. A woman you can't, a woman you can't, a woman you can't. Who says that a woman can't? Steve Jobs says that the people who define the world are not smarter than you or I. So why should I not believe that I can define the world that I choose to live in? What has culture got to do with it? Who defined the culture in the first place? Who says that genital mutilation is right, is correct? Who? And who are the people who are the gatekeepers of genital mutilation? Women. Why? When are we going to come out of that box? When are we going to begin to think differently? Our culture is diluted, whether we like it or not, as all cultures in the world are diluted. the television, the media, the politics, the economies. Before, families in Nigeria were big families. Today, people want to have one child or two children. That's all they want to have. They don't want to have more than that. Why? Because the cost of living today is so high. The economy has defined your culture. Politics defines our culture. How did we go from meritocracy to where we are today? How? We were a country where the best man got the job, regardless of where he came from. The Nigeria of though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. That's the Nigeria that I knew. That's the Nigeria I grew up in. What's going on? So, but who's going to change it? Einstein says that we are limited by the boundary conditions of our own thinking. We are trapped, caged in, boxed in by the boundary conditions of our own thinking. What are you going to do differently? What? How are you going to do that thing differently? Where is the courage going to come to stand as the oddball and damn the consequences and live your bestest life? When is it going to happen? Anyway, the truth of the matter is, I got the money. I built my high-rise. It's a very beautiful high-rise. If you don't know it, it's on Isaac John. Number 7 is glass. It's my dream come true. And I lived my dream. Now, at the end of it all, if culture is defined as a way people live, if culture is defined as a way people are conditioned as a group of people, how are we going to redefine our culture as a people? How are we going to take part in the definition of a greater Nigeria? How are we going to take and partake in the creation of a nation state that is the dream of everybody that is sitting in this room? And if you don't know that it is possible, I'm telling you today, it is possible. All you have to do is get involved. When you get involved, you will see the amazing difference that your involvement will make. Nobody is going to change Nigeria. You and I are the only people, out of enlightened self-interest, have the capacity to change Nigeria. Otherwise, we give birth to our children to stay in the bondage of the ignorant, leading the people who are enlightened. So out of enlightened self-interest, we need to redefine this culture scape. We need to set ourselves and our minds free. But we must define. He said, give it a vision. Prof said, create a vision. We need to create a vision of what Nigeria has the capacity and the potential to really be. I hope that in the course of this, I think my time is up, in the course of this conference, everywhere is so quiet. I just suddenly heard how quiet it was. There's a time. It's not my not by choice. I have been programmed to finish at a certain time. So, sometime in the near future, a group is going to rise. And that group is going to be fighting and defining a better Nigeria for the benefit of us all. When that time comes, please stand. Stand for something so you don't fall for anything. Stand and be counted. Because Nigeria needs you. You can continue to live an insular life with your 10-foot wall and your own borehole and your own generator. It's not sustainable. Because the have-nots are becoming more than those that have. And it's only a matter of time before they decide enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Adenike Ogunlesin. Wonderful live lessons. And sometime last month or so, I had a meeting with Auntie Adenike in her glasshouse dream office. And I was like, wow, this is a good place to think. No wonder she comes up with beautiful and creative ideas. Thank you, ma'am, for that wonderful session. You know, I mentioned earlier that at the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, we don't just organize conferences, we organize transformations. Is there someone here who is getting transformed already? And when Mrs. Adenike was speaking, she asked the question, who defines culture? That is a food for thought. Certain things that you've done over and over and over again, and you've never stopped to ask yourself, why do I do this? When we're having our family systems engineering certification course, we tell the people when they go out for tea break, for lunch break, to eat their protein first when their meal is served. You will still come back, see people saving the precious piece of chicken to eat it last. And when you ask them, they say, that's how we have been eating. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what was the reasoning behind saving your piece of protein as a reward for eating the meal? This time around, a meal you bought and prepared with your own money. Funny as it sounds, think about the things you do when you're relating with yourself, with your spouse, with your children, with your neighbor. Why do you do the things that you do? And so to continue this conference, tea break is still not ready. We will just move ahead and take the next research presentation by the third group. Some might be asking, why are we sharing these research topics? It is because we get insights as to what is happening across Lagos State in particular. Then you can formulate policies and strategies that will meet the current needs of the people under your care. So for this group, they looked at the prevalence of depression amongst teenagers in the Munshi local government area of Lagos State. Project Blue, January 2019. Are you ready? And so I'm calling on Yemisi Adeyegbe, because I had to practice the pronunciation. Did I get it right? To represent Team Blue. Please put your hands together for her.
Good morning, all. All protocols observed. I'm representing Team Blue. And our topic is prevalence of depression amongst teenagers. It is like a volcano waiting to erupt. Yes, when we got this topic, we specified is a local government which we're going to use for this test, which was the Mushin local government. And we picked 10 secondary schools, 5 private, and 5 public. And the age range we picked was between 12 and 19 for this test. And we used questionnaires, to administer the test. And the total number of people who returned this questionnaire, 980. We put in 1,011 to fill. And what is shocking, I am also in shock. 29.54% are going through depression as teenagers. It's a serious problem if we want to hand over to our future tomorrow. And we used, apart from the analysis, we used the frequency chart, the pie chart, in analyzing and moderating between the male and the female. There was not so much as a significance between male and female. And also, we noticed a line between the religion as well. But the shocking news we have, we're all parents or we're going to be parents. 29.54 already in depression, which has affected what they do daily. It has affected the perspective of life. It has affected the way they see tomorrow. Some are not looking forward to it. I know a long time ago, it was so like an abstract to hear as someone would commit suicide. But now it's becoming gradually into our consciousness. So what do we recommend? Because I want to make it very short. First of all is the government. Government has a responsibility in putting out policies and making, because all these schools we have regulatory bodies which government can use policies to ensure we have a kind of intervention in our various schools. There has to be a safe place where a teenager can express without fear of being judged, can be vulnerable without fear of condemnation. Second one is our religious bodies. What are we doing? We have a lot of teenage schools, Sunday school, and all that. Are we engaging them enough? Are we really engaging them enough? Third, parents. Do we really know our children? Might sound very odd. I was opportune to be in FSA, and I know he talked about out-of-box parenting. I bought the book and I read it, and I wished I had read it earlier because my last child is already in the university. But it's not too late. We can start the engagement early enough. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, up next, we have the tea break. All you have to do is sit down, and the ushers will come and lead you to your table. But before then, we want to say thank you. If you're just joining, we're saying welcome to the third edition of African Family, which is something we need to take seriously. It's very important. So I think next is the tea break. Thank you.